One. Hey guys, what's up? So it's Amber Kumar today, and I'm back with another video. But before we start the video, I just wanted to tell y'all I just got back from the dentist, so I got a little bit of swelling stuff, numbness on my right side of my mouth. So my voice might sound a little bit different today. And we did take a break yesterday. From the videos, but luckily we got a mic today. Shout out to my dad for that. And I got my ball main shirt on. So we got some good luck for today on today's prediction. And today, actually, we're going to do something a little bit different. Today, we are going to do an IPL cricket prediction using ChatGPT and using the Random Forest module on Python. It's a statistical method of attacking this analytical problem right here, which is predicting the overall outcome of this game between the Kolkata Knight Riders and the Sunrisers Hyderabad. And this game is actually special, guys, because it is the championship game of the IPL 2023-2024 IPL Indian Premier League. For you guys who don't know what that stands for, season. So tomorrow is the biggest game of the season for all fans in India and all across the world who are going to be tuning in. This is the biggest game of the season, and we're going to be using AI, ChatGPT 4.0, to do some analytics. And we're going to run, actually, after we get the analytics, we're going to test that analytics and ask ChatGPT, can you test us to get an R squared value, a mean squared value, and an absolute square error value so we can see how many runs off or how accurate do you think that your prediction model is getting us to be? And then after that, we will provide that final um, prediction value to you guys. But before we even jump to the IPL, I am going to start this video off with a little bit of information about the Pacers and Celtics bet, and we're going to recap our wins and losses on those predictions using AI, and we're going to talk a little bit about what went wrong and what went right, and then we can use that feedback, and you guys can use that to understand if you want to build your own models or just tune into my models in the future to understand how we can improve and understand what went right and what went wrong in terms of just as a sports data analytical output, or if you guys are interested in betting, then in the sports betting profiting output of this segment. So let's get straight to the video. I'm going to share my screen right now, guys, and we are happy to have this mic because you guys will be hearing me a little bit clearer, hopefully, despite my mouth coming after this dentist appointment. So let's share the screen real quick. Okay. So you guys should be able to see my screen right here. Let me transition over. So we're going to start the video off, like I said, with the Celtics and Pacers prediction from May 23rd. We did say that in our three predictions, we took the Pacers +9. And obviously the game did not end that way. The game ended with the Celtics destroying the Pacers 126-110. But we did say that the Celtics were going to win. That was our second prediction. So we had Pacers +9, Celtics money line, and over 225 points. So 2 out of 3 of our bets were actually successful. Predictions, I should say, were actually successful, and that's thanks to ChatGPT. So far, my ChatGPT model has always generated one win at least on every single prediction that I've run. And that's really good statistic to have because that means that we are not just taking BS data outputs and giving that to the general public. No, I'm taking serious output and I'm trying to fine tune the parameters. I'm going to go into that a little bit in this video as well about how we can fine tune hyperparameters. So it's called hyperparameter tuning with LLM models and how we can increase the accuracy margin from our prediction output from these large language models using ChatGPT 4.0 to get us some value on sports betting and sports data analytics. So the Boston Celtics were a home game, and that game, I want to talk a little bit about what happened because that day, actually, the Pacers were not playing at their normal pace. They were not scoring as many points. Miles Turner was having a terrible game. Jaylen Brown was going crazy. I watched the whole game, and Jaylen Brown had an absolutely bomb game. He was going off, hitting threes left and right, driving, getting layups and ones, free throws. He had an amazing game. I think he was at like 28 points at the end of the second quarter or start of the third quarter or something. So, that game was just crazy because there were many things going wrong. And also, I read online that the fourth quarter, the Pacers were down bad, but not very bad. But the head coach of the Indiana Pacers, decided to actually put in the third string. And I did see the game, and I started seeing a bunch of players who I was not familiar with seeing on the court. And I was wondering, what is he doing? And I found out that apparently he had given up hope because they were down so bad. So, that's a very bad thing for a head coach to do, is to give up motivation and pull out all your good players when the Boston Celtics are up by the same margin and keeping in their starter players like Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Derek White. So it's like, if they're going to put in their starters and you're going to put in your third stringers just because you're down, does that even make any sense to put in your third stringers guarding your first string players? I don't think that Pacers coach was doing the right thing that day. And so obviously there are a few factors that go into play we are discussing when we're discussing, what do you call it, a sports data and sports betting analytics line, because there are some factors that go into play that GPT cannot control. That's what I meant to say, that the AI cannot always control these factors. At the end of the day, this is still a robot. This is an artificial intelligence model, which we are using to give us a hint and give us an edge, a statistical edge. But at the end of the day, it cannot predict the future. We can't predict the future. I can't predict the future. Humans can't predict the future, but neither can a robot. It can give us an edge using the data from the past to give us a prediction hint at what we think will happen. And it can give us a higher statistical likelihood and give us an estimation of the chance of winning that game and get us into that margin region, but it can't actually predict the future. And so that's what we are um, that's what I'm going to go over right now. So the game ended 126 to 110 with the Celtics covering that -9 spread and the Pacers losing that. So we did lose that first prediction, but we did win the Celtics money line prediction. For those of you who took that prediction and made profits of that, congratulations to y'all. And for the over 225 points, the game ended at 236 points. So we definitely hugely cleared that. I think I was watching the game and we were still like 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter when we cleared 4.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter when we cleared that bet. So we still won a lot of value with ChatGPT. So I told this to ChatGPT the day after I got the prediction, and it just gave us a little recap of that prediction value. It told us that the Boston Celtics ended the game 126 to 110. The Celtics dominated the game with the high scoring offense, strong performances with star players. And some of those star players, like I said, were Jaylen Brown having an extremely good game. Jason Tatum still did pretty well, and Derek White was hitting threes. There were a lot of gaps in the Pacers defense that day. I was watching one play, and the Pacers were leaving players wide open in the three, hitting many threes, and they were doubling the wrong players, it was just a total mess for the Pacers that night. And they were also being limited on offense because the Celtics had solid defense. As you can see, GPT is telling us that right here. These are the notable players. For the Pacers, though, the only player who I would say that also played well was Tyrese Halliburton, but he actually was injured at the end of the third quarter, so he ended up leaving the game, not coming back. And Pascal Siakam, I'll say, I think that ChatGPT is hallucinating a little bit by putting Miles Turner's name out here because, well, Miles Turner did have a decent second half of the game where he started hitting some threes, but he was having a cold night, 0 points towards the end of the second quarter. So, he likely contributed significantly in defense. Yeah, that is true. In defense, he did contribute, had a few blocks, and he did score some points for us in the second half, but not many. Then I said, can you recall that prediction that it gave? And this was the prediction. This is the actual point. So not too far off with the score total. And we actually did win the score total. And the money line prediction was correct, like I said, but the spread bet lost. So like I said, guys, this was still a pretty fairly smart bet. Out of the 2 of 3 bets that won, those were very smart bets. And we can see here that it did a lot of code, trained the data, ran it 200 times, and we then ran the code 1,000 times, and it still had the Pacers covering that +9 value. But unfortunately, there are things, like I said, that it cannot control. The AI cannot control the fact that Miles Turner is going to have 0 points in the first 2 quarters. The AI cannot control the fact that Derek White's going to be left open for multiple threes, or that Jaylen Brown's going to have a monster night, guys. So that's all I wanted to say, was that we are still profiting and doing really well with these models. So now I'm going to transition over to the main focus of today's video, which is the matchup between the Kolkata Knight Riders and the Sorry, 1 second, getting a call over here. Um, the Kolkata Knight Riders and the Hyderabad Sunrisers. So, guys, let's go back over here to this ChatGPT. So, the IPL Championship game tomorrow is between the Kolkata Knight Riders and the Hyderabad Sunrisers, and the game is taking place in Chennai. And it's taking place tomorrow at 3 p.m. Actually, sorry, tomorrow at 3 p.m. for Europeans, and I believe at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So, or 9 a.m. Eastern time. Sorry. So it will be pretty early for you guys. If you do want to wake up and watch it, or you guys can stream it later in the day because it will be available on many sites, which you can just do a Google search for. So the first prediction input that I'm giving to ChatGPT over here is tomorrow is the IPL Championship game, like I said, between the Kolkata Knight Riders and the Hyderabad Sunrisers. The Calcutta is 9 wins and 3 losses away, and Hyderabad is 8 wins and 5 losses away. And now they have just eliminated the Rajasthan Royals yesterday, which was a 40 run win. So a pretty solid victory margin right there for Hyderabad to qualify for this championship gold medal match. So before we get into this, I want to give you guys a little bit of um, information about who the players are because some of you might not be familiar with IPL cricket. This is IPL cricket and this is not MLB. But MLB, the reason why I mentioned MLB here is because cricket for Indians is like the most similar sport that we can get here in America to the MLB because baseball and cricket both involve a bat and a ball. Obviously, that's true, but there's also a bowler, which we call a pitcher, a bowler in cricket, and then there is a wicket keeper who's the catcher in baseball, and then the whole point of the game is to score runs by hitting the ball, and the fielding team wants to get the batter out. But the concepts are a little bit different because in cricket the bat is shaped differently and the ball is going to bounce, so you're projected to score more runs by hitting fours, sixes, and ones. Fours and sixes are called boundaries in cricket, and they occur when the batsman hits the ball and it goes into the stadium outside of the field, or it touches the boundary, and there is a physical boundary which signifies 4 points if the ball bounces onto the boundary. And if it doesn't bounce and goes over the boundary, that is called a six, guys. So 6 runs and 4 runs are earned by that, and 6 runs is the maximum runs that the batting team can earn at one play. Given that there is not a no ball is when the bowler steps over the crease line, which is a penalty line, which gives a free run to the batsman team and another additional ball. So let's get to the matchup lineup over here for the Sunrisers Hyderabad. There's Abhishek Sharma, Pat Cummins, who is the captain of the Sunrisers Hyderabad team, Travis Head, Nitish Kumar, Henrich Klasan Shabazz, Aiden Abdul Samad, Bhuvneshwar Kumar, Umran Malik, Wanindu Rahul, Vijayakant, Mayank, Glenn, Sanveer, Mayank, Anmol, Jaide, Marco, Natharajan, Washington Sundar, Fazal Haq Faruqi, Upanera Yadav, Akash Singh, and Jatave Samarayan. So now let's transition over to the Kolkata Knight Riders team. Over here, we have Shreyas Iyer, the captain of Kolkata Knight Riders, Phil Salt, Mitchell Stark, Rinku Singh, Sunil Narayan, a great batsman, Angrish Raghuvanshi, Harshit Rana, Ramandeep, Nitish, Andre Russell, Venkatesh Iyer, Manish Pandey, Varun Chakravarti, Rahul Malla, Gurbaz, Jason Roy, Saqib Hussain, Dushmanta, Kamira, Allah Ganzafar, Vaibhav, Aurora, Gus Atkinson, Anukul Roy, Shirfani, Rutherford, Chetan Sakaria, Suyash Sharma, Shrikar Bharat, and Mujbai Al Rahman. And if we look at the table for this year's IPL contest, we can see that KKR is the #1 team and Hyderabad is the #2 team after eliminating Rajasthan. They actually had a tied record, but after yesterday's matchup, we can see that Hyderabad came off victorious and they are #2. So it's the #1 team against the #2 team. And Google has them already, the Kolkata Knight Riders, winning this at 53%. My personal projection before we go into the Python and analytics component is I predict the Kolkata Knight Riders to win. So now let's get a look at some data. We looked at the matchups. Like I said, we can kill that tab. And now let's look at the actual data. Okay, so first we're going to start up by looking at the Kolkata team stats. So these are some batting statistics. So we can look at the most runs scored from each player, ranking them from 1 to 14. And we see Sunil Narayan. That's a very good batter right there. You know, he averaged, not averaged, he actually hit and totaled the number 3 most sixes scored in the entire Indian Premier League for this season. He's played 14 matchups with the Kolkata Knight Riders with 13 innings, 482 runs contributed, which is the most runs contributed out of any player on Kolkata Knight Riders to their team's overall scores. And we have 179.85 SR, which is a really high strike rate. And fours, he's averaged, or that's his total fours, is 50 and sixes 32. That is an extremely high number at 32. Number 2, we see Philip Salt, Shreyas, Iyer, Venkatish Iyer at 4, Andre Russell at 5, Rinku Singh at 6, Angrish at 7, Ramandeep at 8, Manish 9, and so on for these players. You guys can take a look at this on your, I just wanted to give you guys that data right here so that we know what we're working with ChatGPT and run this prediction model. Then we look at some wicket data. So we want to look at both components because remember, cricket is about fielding and batting. So we look at the wickets and we look at Varun Chakravarti for Kolkata has taken the most wickets at 20 wickets, followed by Harshit Rana at 17 wickets, followed by Sunil Narayan at 16, Andre Russell tied with him at 16, Mitchell Stark at 15, and Vaibhav Arora at 10 wickets. So we also have the same data for the Sunrisers Hyderabad. I don't need to read out this data to you, but you can see here that Travis Head is a key contributor to Hyderabad. 32 sixes for him. Abhishek Sharma actually has even more sixes. That's an insane number at 42 sixes, 482. But Travis Head's overall runs contributed is 567 runs for Hyderabad. He's played 14 matches, so he's even played less matches and contributed more runs. So Travis Head is going to be a key player tomorrow for Hyderabad, and as well as Abhishek Sharma, 15 innings, 482 runs. So Pat Cummins is down there at 9. He's the captain for Hyderabad. And then we can go down over here to the wickets, and we can see that TJ Natarajan, Hyderabad, has taken the most wickets at 19. But already, if we do some data analysis, we can see that the max wicket number for the Kolkata Knight Riders was 20 wickets, and Hyderabad is only taking 19. And we look at the second player who's averaging taking 17 wickets, and that's tied with Pat Cummins at 17. But the number 3 and number 4 is where it drops for Hyderabad down to 11 and 8 wickets. So this number stays consistently high with Kolkata, with Sunil Narayan getting 16 wickets, followed by Andre Russell at 16 wickets, followed by Mitchell Stark at 15 wickets. So before they get down to 10th wickets, there's another 3 players over here who the list has already dropped below that value, so we can already see that the Kolkata Knight Riders statistics are looking better than the Hyderabad statistics. So let's go back to ChatGPT and show you guys what I did with that data analysis. So it gave us the breakdown and the recent form. It also talked a little bit about the match insights. It said that the pitch conditions are typically favoring spinners, which might give an edge to teams which have a strong spin bowling option, which is like Kolkata, because Kolkata, we know, likes that spin bowling option. The weather is expected to be clear, ensuring an uninterrupted game. However, Kolkata did have an interruption in their practice game today, which I noted, but that is okay because to even that out, the Sunrisers Hyderabad did not decide to practice today because they came off of their victory game yesterday, which means the players were already tired. So it seems like an even playing field in that sense. So before they even give it any data, it already gives us a little bit of a prediction. It says the match is expected to be closely contested given the form of both teams, and Kolkata might have a slight edge due to their consistent performance, but Hyderabad's momentum from recent win could make a significant impact. So fans can be looking forward to an exciting finale. So now let's get straight to the actual gist of this. So I copied that data from this website over here, put that over here, and it put that into a list of data, but that's not exactly what I wanted. So I copied the second data from Sunrisers Hyderabad from the site I just showed you, and I told it, now put this data into a data table. So it used the pandas module, which we've seen in my other videos, which is really good for large data sets because it can use that in Python to store all the data as a data frame. So it stored that data as a data frame, and now we have Travis Head, Abhishek Sharma, and so on, and their numbers. We have the matches, innings, runs, SRs, fours, and sixes, the data that I showed you up there, matches, innings, balls, wickets taken. And then it's creating the data frames using the DF part of the Python pandas package, and it's importing ACE tools as tools to display this data frame to the user. And now it's basically put that into that table format, like I said. So we can see here that this is basically the same data, not basically, this is the exact same data actually as this Hyderabad data over here. It's the same numbers formatted into Python. But the reason I wanted it to do that is because once it's have it into a table, now we can clearly see the data and we can run some data analytics like we did in our previous videos with the NBA predictions. And that's exactly what we're going to do, guys. And today in this video, like I said, we're going to use the Random Forrest Regressor. So here are the top performers for Sunrisers Hyderabad in terms of runs and wickets. We can see Travis Head at number 1 and Natharajan at number 1 on the fielding side. So now I said do the same for the Kolkata Knight Riders data because this is just the Sunrisers Hyderabad data. So it runs that same data code but changes the data output for the opponent team with Sunil Narayan and Philip Salt and Shreyas Iyer. And we can see Sunil Narayan, number 1 for most runs, most wickets. We can see Varun Chakravarti taking these wickets number over here at 20 wickets off of 288 balls. So now we're going to go down here and it says, here are the top performers for the Kolkata Knight Riders in terms of the runs and wickets for this IPL season. The most runs for the Kolkata Knight Riders is starting with Sunil Narayan, and we have all our data in a table. So now we can move on to our data analytics component. So now we're going to use data analysis techniques to write some Python code to predict the final score and winner using these two tables data. So to predict the final score and winner using the provided data, we can employ a simple machine learning model. And it says we will follow these steps. So we're going to start with data preparation, which is going to organize the data for both teams. And by the way, guys, this is ChatGPT's output speaking. This isn't my side. So I just wanted to slow that down for you if I was speaking too fast. This is GPT's giving us this output. As you can see, there's the code for OpenAI. So data preparation is the first step. Then it goes on to feature engineering, which is where we create relevant features for the prediction model. Then we go into model building, which is where we're going to use a machine learning model to predict the scores. And then we will get our prediction, which you guys can use to bet on if you think it's valuable and if it matches with online predictions, which you can do some research on in your own time. But we're also going to test that prediction. So there's one more step which I'll add here, which isn't written there, which is testing the accuracy of our model. Okay, guys, so we're going to use a basic approach here due to the limited data size. It says, so for a more robust prediction, we would use more historical data, player performance metrics. But for the case of this video, I will be, because we are time constrained, I will be giving it some of this data and not like historic data. So we're going to go on to the feature engineering, model building, and then goes to prediction. So let's get straight to it, guys. So we're going to use pandas module package, scikit-learn with linear regression initially, and then later we're going to get onto random forest regressors. So we can see here it's stored as a DF mod data frame, creating the features with the average runs. So these are basically the column headers that we have over here with matches, innings, runs, SRs, fours, sixes, matches, innings, balls, wickets, and 5 wickets taken. So now we're going to go down over here, take the average wickets. Average wickets, as you can see, is wickets divided by matches, and average runs is runs divided by matches. And so we're going to return that DF in a separate data frame, and then store that for Calcutta and store that for Hyderabad. Then we'll go on to our training data features, which we need an X and Y data component because we're using this linear regression on scikit-learn. Then we're going to train those X variables, train the Y variables, and we're going to have test variables for X and test variables for Y. And then we split that out and we run the prediction module. And if it thinks that Kolkata is a winner, then it will state Kolkata. And if it thinks Hyderabad is a winner, it will state Hyderabad. So in this code, we prepare the data by merging the batting and bowling statistics. We create features such as average runs, strike rates, average wickets per match, And what does that say over there? Yeah, then we're going to build a linear regression model to predict the total runs for this game. And then we will use the model to predict the score for Kolkata and Hyderabad and determine our winner. So once it runs that code, it's running into some error. So it reruns the code, and we'll scroll down over here and see where's the error coming. It's getting a key error. So that's just a small error in the syntax. It's going to fix that. And saying it seems there's an issue with column names when merging the data frames. So that can arise when you have a lot of data like this. So it's not too much of a red flag right there. And then it updates the code with ensuring proper column names when merging, avoiding column names conflicts by using suffixes. So that's important, though, that ChatGPT is able to understand this. And that's really a benefit of having an LLM model doing this analysis for us, because we don't need to waste time on these things if we were coding this by hand. So it's going to then give us a new coding file, and you can read this here, that this is the data preparation step. This is where we're doing our feature engineering. This is creating the training data. This is the model building, and then running our prediction. And it's getting an error again. What is this error again? We're getting a similar error. Oh, it's the exact same error with the column. So whatever it did didn't fix that. But luckily, it doesn't stop there. It runs it again, and we get revised code with column inspection. So now it's running this again, rerunning that output, and there we go. We get an output over here. But it needed to update that again to get this even more accurate. So it does look like there are a lot of errors here, but that's because we are encountering new errors after we get some output, and it seems that there are NaN values. So at least we solved the previous error, but we're running into a new error. It's saying because there are some Na values. So sometimes when you have Na values like zeros, so the reason what it's trying to say here is that we have zeros in the 5 wicket column over here, and it needs to account for those, because sometimes when you're running data analysis with Python automatically returns an exception if you have zeros, because it doesn't know what to do with the zero. For running data analysis, it's always going to expect that. So you always have to add an exception for the zeros so that we can handle an NaN. That's why it says this is the updated code with our Na values. And now we are getting a prediction result over here. So it's saying based on the predictions from the linear regression model, here are the results. So we're getting a predicted score value for Kolkata Knight Riders at 170 runs. And we can go back over here, and we're using stdout, using the array to determine that winner. And this was with the linear regression and random forest gradient boosting. So we go down here, and we can see that the predicted score for Kolkata Knight Riders, like I said, was 170. Predicted score for the Sunriser Hyderabad was 146, and they have the Kolkata Knight Riders winning this game. So that is our prediction for this game, is we will take the Kolkata Knight Riders money line, and everything is going in favor of the Kolkata Knight Riders. That is not to ignore the fact that the Sunrisers Hyderabad are a threat, but given the fact that we run this model using linear regression, using data analytics, and we're getting this value. But we are not done here, guys. Before we end that, we are going to go and check how accurate is this IPL prediction. So the accuracy of the IPL prediction in this model is provided using the linear regression model, which can be assessed by evaluating the model's performance on the test data, which involves calculating metrics such as the mean square error, mean absolute error, root mean square error, and the R squared value on the test set. So these metrics give insights into how well the model generalizes to unseen data, and then we can compute these metrics to understand the accuracy of the model. So we're going to generate that. It generates us some code to get us those metrics to test how accurate our value is. And we see that we're getting an MAE value of 63 runs, mean absolute squared value of 63 runs, mean squared error value of 82 runs, and an R squared value of 0.39. So what does that actually mean? So if we go to the interpretation, it's saying on average, the model's prediction is off by 63 runs from actual scores. So now that doesn't sound very accurate, but this value, which is given higher weight to larger errors, indicates that the typical prediction error is around 83 runs. the R squared value shows that approximately 39% of the variance in the total runs can be explained by the model's features. So we are actually able to increase our prediction accuracy by 39% to get us a closer value to 1. If we can ask ChatGPT to do that, that can get us higher value on our sports data analytics and sports betting prediction value. Before we run into that, though, I wanted to give you guys a little bit of explanation on the technical components of what we're actually doing here, guys. And the reason for that being is that it's not always good to just look at the output. We also sometimes want to understand what actually we are doing. And the reason is because when you're running this code on your own, you might just be thinking, wait, what if I wanted to use this for a completely different use case? And then I won't be able to actually help you guys if I'm not showing you what this means. So if we look at Random Forrest is an algorithm used for regressions when we have multiple decisions which can be made from one data set, but we're not actually sure which pathway or which decision tree model it's going to go into. This is a decision tree right here. What we have is we have one data set. The data set I gave it was those statistics in the other tab that I showed you with Hyderabad and the Kolkata Knight Riders and the players and the statistics. So that's the data set. Now we're giving that data set to the ChatGPT and we're telling it these are multiple decision pathways which can happen. And one of these could be, Kolkata Knight Riders destroys the Hyderabad Sunrisers. And the other one, we can see Hyderabad Sunrisers destroying Kolkata on the batting side. And on the third one, we can have both teams getting a very similar scoring output. But from each one of those three pathways, many different things can happen. If Hyderabad goes ahead of Kolkata and has an amazing batting session, then Kolkata might just come back and destroy Hyderabad on their own batting session. Or it could be a very similar run rate, or you can see the Kolkata Knight Riders just getting completely all out over there. So there are multiple pathways that can lead from different pathways. And what this does is once we get to that final decision tree, we have 3 decision trees, or it can be n decision trees, actually. It's not always 3, it's just n. I just gave you 3 as an example, but once you get to that final decision tree value, then it averages out those last values to give you a majority voting average value to give you what it thinks would be the highest probability of coming through. And this is what scikit-learn. And this kind of regressor model is important when we're trying to, it's useful when you're trying to run analytics on regression with data sets where you actually are not 100% certain of where the data could go, because like I said, we can't tell the future. So we're trying to do something as hard as tell the future. Then this is one of the best methods which we can use. Now I'm going to go back over here and we are going to talk about hyperparameter tuning. So hyperparameter tuning is what we are going to do to increase our prediction value for our accuracy model using these LLMs. So what we've actually been doing is called something called input and feature engineering or parameter engineering. But now this side right here where it's talking about feature engineering and how we can improve the model's accuracy is very important, because this is how we can use the LLM and use these outputs to get even more precise and concise predictions so that we can beat Las Vegas, beat the bookies, and you guys can generate profits with AI without having to pay hundreds of dollars to a company to do this. You guys can do it yourself, or you guys can tail me and I'll do that analysis for you and we can work together to profit. So this is where feature engineering comes into a very important model, where we're creating more meaningful features that capture the nuances of player performance and game conditions. And we use advanced models or complex models like Random Forrest, XGBoost, which is gradient boosting, or ensemble methods. And then we cross-validate that. But let's go into hyperparameter tuning a little bit. Hyperparameter tuning is where we start with the model selection, we review the parameters, and then we select the right searching method, apply the cross-validation approach, and assess the score of the model. So what does that really mean? Let's slow that down a little bit, and then we will end this video, and I'll say goodbye to you guys. But before we do that, we have to go into this over here, where we talk about the Random Forest model. We already talked about the actual model itself, but now let's implement that. So we implement that model to increase our model's accuracy. It's running that same data code, but it's trying to give us a higher accuracy value, running into a few technical syntax errors, rerunning the code, generating us Now, as you can see here, guys, we have decreased our error value, which means now we're getting a more accurate prediction that the Kolkata Knight Riders will actually be the ones winning this matchup tomorrow. So we can see here that the mean squared error, absolute error is at 37 runs, and earlier it was at 63 runs, and the squared error has dropped from 82 runs to 48 runs, which means our margin is very close. Our R squared error means that our prediction value to the actual probability value is 79%, which is a huge increase from 39%. On average, the model's predictions are out by 37 runs, which is better than the last linear regression model. So overall, the random forest gradient boost gave us a better output than the linear regression model. So that just shows us already that the diagram that I was showing you over there on the other tab, not this one, is a better use case for a prediction value when we're using sports data analytics. And now our last part of this video is going to go to the in-depth hyperparameter tuning. So when we talk about model selection, that's exactly what I was talking about just now. Like, are we going to use that extreme gradient boosting? Are we going to use random forest? Or are we going to use linear regression or logistic regression? Like I said, it's all dependent on what the R-squareds, the MAEs, the absolute square values are, because we obviously want less error values, higher R-squared values, and then that's how we choose which model is more accurate. And from what we just saw over there on the other tab is that the actual random forest regressor is getting us a better, more accurate value. Then after you selected that value, you can move on to the next step, which is reviewing the parameters. Those are the inputs. That's the data that we're giving into that, which we're going to store in those X and Y components, like the number of runs, number of fours, number of sixes, number of wickets taken. Which parameters do you input into that model to get the highest value out of that model? Once you've inputted those parameter values, then you go into selecting the right searching methods. Once you've selected the right searching methods, then we can see that we can make an analysis to do cross-validation to the actual value. So the cross-validation component would be that we're going to look at previous scores and see that, oh, okay, Kolkata Knight Riders prediction was 171. So why don't we go to the score value over here for their previous games and compare that to do some cross-validation so that you guys have more confidence in my numbers. And we can see here that the last matchup that Kolkata Knight Riders played against Hyderabad, Calcutta actually just beat Hyderabad by 8 wickets. And that's the same team that they're going to be playing tomorrow in the national championship game. And they won that by 8 wickets and scored 164 runs. That is a close value to what their score, our prediction value is at 171. 157, still close. 235, a little bit off. 169, that's extreme accuracy, and 157. So that shows us now that we are in the ballpark for our expected total run, not run rate tomorrow. And then once we apply that cross-validation approach, we can then assess the score of the model against the other models, and then we can get our outcomes, guys. So overall, that is a little bit about our prediction using IPL data for the championship game tomorrow between the Kolkata Knight Riders and the Hyderabad Sunrisers, and using ChatGPT, AI, and Random Forrest against linear regressions to get us a prediction output. And like I said, our prediction output for this game is that the Kolkata Knight Riders will win this matchup. And I hope you guys learned a little bit about logistic regressions, linear regressions, hyperparameter tuning, random forest regressions, and we will talk more about XGBoost and these similar prediction models in the future. But I hope you guys learned a lot more about the technical component of how we're getting these predictions and how we're attacking these bets, guys. So hope you guys make some profits, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Tune in, please like and subscribe. Thank you.